Good evening. Bringing you more news more often, I'm Sergeant Rob Gwin, and this is Newsline. President Bush has signed 2 bills that increase defense funding for troops. The first is the Defense Appropriations Bill. The nearly $335 billion defense bill will go toward a 4.1% pay increase, additional full-time support for the National Guard and Reserve, and increased funding in research and development of weapons systems. The second bill the President signed was the Military Construction Appropriations Bill that added $10.5 billion for building and upgrading military installations and for improving military family housing. Task Force Eagle soldiers are brightening the faces of some Bosnian school children with a little help from Crayola crayons. Specialist Kirk Wilson tells us how.
And then we have some crayons here for all the kids.
Remember tearing open a new box of crayons and putting every color to use? Soldiers give children the same chance with donations from Crayola.
Started at the lowest level and with the children here, and as they're learning through school, as they get older, if we could be a positive influence on them, that'll really help out the future, because these kids will be the future someday.
Soldiers also bring gifts of books, pencils, basketballs, and soccer balls. Soldiers appreciate the visits as much as the children, says Army Private Paul Granville.
It makes you feel good actually helping, you know. It's actually like I wanted to be a teacher back home. I didn't get to go to school yet because we had to come here, but hopefully I could be a teacher someday.
Crayons will dwindle away, but smiles the soldiers see will last a lifetime. Reporting from Eagle Base, Bosnia, Specialist Kirk Wilson, Task Force Eagle, Public Affairs.
The U.S. and South African Air Forces created an exercise called Southern Comfort to train together and learn each other's methods. Air Force Sergeant Dan Robinson tells us the first part of this bilateral training was a casualty evacuation exercise that partnered medics from both sides together on one team.
Medics taking part in the casualty training portion of the exercise are briefed.
We'll go ahead and load up, secure quickly, and be ready for a 9:15 takeoff.
Then given an orientation flight on the C-130 that will transport their patients. A few minutes back on the ground, then the call comes in. 8 casualties from a simulated helicopter crash.
The exercise was designed to practice the entire spectrum of patient movement, from initial scene and triage onto into basically casualty evacuation on helicopters, forward evacuation through the C-130, and now further air evacuation to a definitive care treatment facility.
In-flight assessment and treatment involves American and South African crews equally, and each team has a slightly different way of doing things. But methods and people mesh on the flight, and both sides come away with a better understanding of in-flight treatment, all with surprisingly few snags.
So I'm very gratified myself, personally speaking, to see how quickly we seem to be able to mesh and get the thing to run well.
The Air Force is undertaking more and more operations in Africa, and the chance that South African and American medics can put this training to practical use is growing. Tech Sergeant Dan Robinson, Air Force News, Air Force Base Louis Tricard, South Africa.
They are the warm hands and the warm hearts of the hospital. They're the nurses. Specialist Emily Adams introduces us to some of these healthcare professionals who've come a long way to learn how military hospitals work.
They've crossed the ocean for some on-the-job training. Critical care nurses flew from the States to visit Landstuhl Regional Medical Center and learn as much as possible about military hospitals.
It's actually been fascinating just to see the difference and be in another country, and how working with the folks from that country as well as the American nurses, and how that all needs to mesh together with the 2 different healthcare systems.
Nurses provide that special touch to even the smallest patients.
The nurses are on the floor while doctors are all over, they're around. Those nurses are there, and they always help.
The group travels internationally every other year to exchange information and visit with nursing colleagues from around the world. Reporting from Kaiserslautern, Germany, Specialist Emily Adams, AFN News.
And that's your AFN Newsline report for now. I'm Sergeant Rob Gwin.